According to an ancient Japanese legend, once every 50 years, a mysterious demon descends upon a small town. It possesses a human host and turns them into a ruthless killer, unleashing a massacre that leaves the entire community living in fear. Only a handful of people know the truth behind the curse, and even fewer have the courage to stand against it. This story takes place in the Japanese city of Shinjjo. It begins at the residence of a powerful Yakuza boss who has just received some disturbing news. One of his longtime business partners has decided to hire a rival organization for protection, a move he sees as a direct insult to his authority. Instead of taking out his anger on the partner responsible, the Yakuza boss vents his frustration on his own men, ordering one of them to step forward and face his wrath. At that very moment, a mysterious man silently infiltrates the compound. One by one, the guards are taken down without making a sound. Moments later, blood begins dripping from an upstairs window, and everyone inside realizes that an intruder has breached the mansion. Sensing the growing danger, the boss's men quickly rush him out of the room. But it's already too late. The intruder is Sakata, a legendary hitman known as the Demon of Shinjjo. Feared throughout the underworld, he always works alone and has never failed a single mission. After eliminating the guards, Sakata comes face to face with the boss's personal bodyguard. Despite the man's incredible size and impressive fighting skills, he is no match for Sakata's speed and experience. In a matter of seconds, Sakata slices off his opponent's arm with his signature machete, leaving him completely defenseless. Without wasting another second, Sakata heads straight for the room where the Yakuza boss is hiding. The man who once ruled with fear is now paralyzed with terror, standing before someone far more terrifying than himself. With an icy stare, Sakata raises his blade and ends the boss's life with a single, clean strike. Shortly after the mission is complete, a man named Akira arrives. He is Sakata's longtime friend and the broker who has handled his assassination contracts for years. Akira reveals that this was Sakata's final assignment before officially retiring. After spending years surrounded by bloodshed and violence, Sakata has chosen to leave that life behind and dedicate himself to his family. When Sakata returns home, he is greeted by his young daughter, who runs into his arms with a joyful smile. Moments later, his wife welcomes him with the warmth and love he has long fought to protect. For the first time in years, he experiences the peaceful life he has always dreamed of, far away from murder, crime, and endless bloodshed. But that happiness doesn't last for long. Just after taking a shower and preparing to rejoin his family, Sakata's home is suddenly stormed by a group of men wearing terrifying masks. He fights back with everything he has, but the situation changes the moment his wife and daughter are taken hostage. Even a legendary assassin like Sakata is left powerless when the lives of his loved ones are on the line. The leader of the group, a man wearing a horned demon mask known only as Master, thanks Sakata for everything he has done. According to him, Sakata's actions have wiped out every major Yakuza organization in Shinjjo. The city's greatest criminal threats have been eliminated, making Shinjjo a safer place than ever before. But in Master's eyes, there is still one final threat that must be removed. And that threat is Sakata himself. The masked group's reason for coming to Sakata's home was simple. They had only one mission: to eliminate the legendary assassin once and for all, believing his death would finally bring lasting peace to Shinjjo. But Sakata wasn't their only victim. His wife and young daughter, who had nothing to do with his past, were also murdered in cold blood, not because they were involved, but because they had seen the killer's faces, and that meant they couldn't be left alive. In a single night, Sakata lost everything. With the little strength he had left, he swore that if he ever survived, he would hunt down every person responsible for his family's deaths. But that night, there was nothing he could do. Moments later, a bullet tore through his head and he collapsed to the ground.
全員殺す。待ってるよ。
12 years later, a shocking truth is revealed. Sakata survived. The bullet failed to kill him, but it severely damaged the nerves in his brain, leaving him permanently paralyzed and trapped inside his own body. The man responsible for saving his life was none other than Akira. He arrived just in time on the night of the attack and rushed Sakata to the hospital. Even after 12 long years, without expecting anything in return, Akira remained by his side. He even provided Sakata with a modest home and hired a full-time caregiver to look after him every day. Meanwhile, the story shifts to a press conference led by Shinjjo's mayor, Sunohara. After serving for 12 years, he has earned a reputation as the man who transformed Shinjjo into a safer, cleaner, and more prosperous city. During the event, Sunohara unveils plans for a massive luxury resort featuring cinemas, restaurants, casinos, karaoke bars, and countless entertainment facilities. According to him, the project will boost the local economy and usher in a new era of prosperity for Shinjjo. When the press conference opens for questions, one journalist boldly brings up the growing number of missing person cases that have occurred during Sunohara's administration. The question briefly catches the mayor off guard, but he quickly regains his composure, challenging the reporter to provide solid evidence. As the atmosphere becomes increasingly tense, the moderator abruptly ends the session. It is later revealed that the journalist's information came from a former Yakuza member who had been secretly paid to leak confidential details. Based on everything he had uncovered, the reporter became convinced that Sunohara's spotless public image was nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion. Behind his successful administration lay a web of dark secrets waiting to be exposed. Determined to uncover the truth, the journalist begins digging even deeper. But before he can reveal anything, a man wearing a terrifying red demon mask suddenly smashes through his car window and chases him down, killing him before he has the chance to expose the conspiracy. Shortly afterward, another masked figure appears, this one wearing the face of an old man. He tracks down the former Yakuza member who leaked the information, forces him to his knees, and executes him on the spot. In an instant, the last witness capable of exposing the mayor's secrets is silenced forever. The story then returns to Sakata, who is taking a walk with his caregiver later that evening. Out of nowhere, someone attacks him from behind with a knife. The attacker turns out to be the former Yakuza bodyguard whose arm Sakata severed at the beginning of the story. But after seeing Sakata's condition, paralyzed, helpless, and suffering from memory loss, the man abandons his revenge. Instead of finishing him off, he simply walks away, leaving Sakata to be rushed back to the hospital. To prevent another attack, 2 police officers are assigned to guard Sakata's hospital room. Not long afterward, one of Shinjjo's most respected police captains arrives. Under the simple pretense of buying coffee, he hands the officers some money and sends them out of the room, giving himself a chance to enter alone. As soon as he sees the patient lying in the hospital bed, the captain confirms that the man is indeed Sakata, and that's when a shocking truth finally comes to light. The police captain was one of the masked intruders who attacked Sakata's home 12 years earlier. He was the man behind the old man mask, and the very same person who had just executed the former Yakuza member to protect their secret. The moment Sakata realizes that one of the men responsible for murdering his wife and daughter is standing right in front of him, something deep inside him begins to awaken. For the first time in over a decade, his eyes slowly move. Then his fingers begin to twitch as if his memories, and the deadly instincts that once made him a legend, are finally returning. A few moments later, the two officers return to the room. As they help lift Sakata back onto the hospital bed, the captain suddenly reaches over and grabs one of the officers' pistols. Sure enough, one of the killers is revealed to be working alongside the police captain. The officer who was just murdered was an honest cop, someone they believed could eventually expose their corruption and destroy everything they had built. A doctor who accidentally witnessed the killing from outside is immediately dragged into the room, and you can probably guess what happens to him next. Amid the chaos, Sakata finally awakens. Taking advantage of the attacker's momentary distraction, he launches a counterattack. Even though his body has recovered to only about 60% of its former strength, his combat skills remain far beyond those of an ordinary fighter. Using nothing more than everyday objects around him, Sakata effortlessly overwhelms his enemies. At one point, he wraps an IV tube around the captain's neck and tries to strangle him. When that doesn't finish the job, he immediately grabs another object and turns it into a deadly weapon. And this is what happens next. After eliminating one of the men responsible for his family's murder, the still weakened Sakata quietly walks out of the hospital. Just then, Akira arrives to pick him up. For the moment, the story shifts away from Sakata and moves to one of Master's drug factories, overseen by his trusted lieutenant, the man wearing the horned demon mask. He has just received shocking news. Sakata is still alive, and sooner or later he will come seeking revenge. As soon as Master hears the report, he contacts another of his loyal followers, the man wearing the wolf mask, who oversees and recruits newcomers brought into the city. Master warns him to prepare for Sakata's inevitable arrival. Brimming with confidence while indulging in drugs, the wolf-masked man arrogantly declares that he'll be the first to deal with Sakata himself. But the biggest surprise comes when Master places another call to Akira. At that moment, a devastating truth is finally revealed. The tragedy that destroyed Sakata's family 12 years earlier was only possible because of Akira. He was the one who leaked Sakata's identity and revealed everything about him to Master's organization. That's why everything Akira has done for Sakata over the past 12 years wasn't an act of loyalty. It was an attempt to atone for the greatest mistake of his life. Not long afterward, Akira shoots Sakata from behind as part of an elaborate act. Together with his assistant, he transports Sakata's seemingly lifeless body to the factory, exactly as Master instructed. Once they arrive, Master's men confirm that the body really is Sakata's, before tossing him onto a conveyor belt, leading straight toward an industrial waste crusher. But Sakata is still alive. The entire execution was part of Akira's secret plan to save his oldest friend. Unfortunately, the factory manager notices through the CCTV cameras that Sakata is still breathing. Without hesitation, he orders the guards at the front gate to kill Akira and his assistant before they can escape. After confirming that Akira has narrowly escaped death, the story returns to Sakata, who tears through the factory without mercy. He wastes no words and shows no hesitation. He simply lets his unmatched fighting skills do all the talking. After clearing out the entire facility, Sakata heads toward the control room where the factory manager is usually stationed. But the man is already waiting outside, clutching a cell phone connected to a powerful explosive device. And then, everything changes. A massive explosion rips through the factory. Convinced that Sakata has finally been killed, the manager immediately calls Master to report his success. But moments later, Sakata emerges from the thick cloud of smoke, wrapped in a heavy protective cloth that shielded him from the blast and the flames. At that exact moment, Akira speeds in with a car and slams into the factory manager, sending him crashing to the ground. Barely clinging to life, the man finally admits that he played a role in the murder of Sakata's wife and daughter. Without the slightest hesitation, Sakata ends his life before he can finish his confession. A short time later, aboard an abandoned ship being used as a temporary hideout, Sakata interrogates the wounded manager, hoping to uncover the identities of everyone working under Master. In the middle of the interrogation, the man's phone suddenly rings. The caller is none other than Master himself. When Sakata vows to hunt down every person involved in his family's massacre, Master calmly responds with a revelation even more shocking than anything Sakata has heard so far. His daughter is still alive. For the past 12 years, she has been raised by the wolf-masked man, who has deceived her into believing he is her real father. And that's not even the biggest secret waiting to be uncovered, but the biggest shock of all is the identity of Master himself. Behind the mask is none other than Son Ohara, the highly respected mayor of Shinjjo, admired by the entire city. Beneath his image as a noble and honorable leader lies a dark secret that the public has never imagined.
お前がつまらん復讐をまだ続けるっていうなら。
After the factory manager is finally killed by Sakata, the story shifts to Ryo, Sakata's biological daughter, who has now grown into a talented young woman. For the past 12 years, she has been raised by the wolf-masked man, who convinced her that he was her real father. Behind his caring and protective facade, however, he has been hiding twisted intentions toward Ryo ever since she reached adulthood.
Ryo, 気をつけてな。
Ryo has become an exceptionally gifted archer, winning numerous competitions throughout the region. Meanwhile, Sakata tracks down an old informant in hopes of finding the wolf-masked man's whereabouts. The moment he gets the address, Sakata wastes no time. Inside the house, he discovers countless photographs of Ryo, from her childhood all the way through her teenage years. When the wolf-masked man finally returns home, Sakata's rage explodes. Without saying a single word, he brutally attacks him. But the fight comes to an abrupt halt when Ryo suddenly appears, aiming an arrow directly at Sakata. Believing she is protecting the man she has always thought was her father, she releases the arrow without hesitation. Sakata does nothing but stare at his daughter with overwhelming emotion as the arrow pierces straight through his shoulder.
Ryo.
Before anyone can react, another of Master's followers, the man wearing the red demon mask, bursts in and kidnaps Ryo. At the very same moment, Master calls Sakata and invites him to his newly built luxury resort, where he promises to settle everything once and for all. Instead of seeking medical treatment, Sakata heads back to the place where his legendary reputation began, his old assassin's hideout.
大きくなってたろう。あの子に。
Rows of deadly weapons line the walls, but his choice never changes. He takes only his signature machete and the black leather jacket that has become his trademark over the years. Upon arriving at the resort, Sakata tricks the security guards by sending an empty car toward the entrance as a diversion. While everyone rushes to inspect the vehicle, he slips inside through another route and begins eliminating the guards one by one. But that is only the beginning. As he climbs toward the upper floors, wave after wave of armed guards pours in from every direction. Even while fighting alone, Sakata relentlessly pushes forward, giving his enemies no chance to stop him. After clearing the staircase, Sakata enters a large room where the wolf-masked man has been waiting under Master's orders. Unfortunately for him, the battle is over almost as soon as it begins. The wolf has spent years relying on fear and intimidation rather than true combat skills, making him no match for the legendary assassin. After defeating him, the exhausted Sakata steps into an elevator bound for the top floor. But just before the doors close, another massive wave of guards comes rushing toward him. Even after fighting nearly 100 enemies in a single night, Sakata breaks through the final line of defense and finally reaches the room where Ryo is being held captive. But just when victory seems within reach, everything turns against him. Sakata is captured and forced to relive the nightmare that destroyed his family 12 years earlier. Holding Ryo's life in his hands, Master finally reveals his true motivation. Everything he has done, the murders, the violence, the bloodshed, was in his mind for one purpose: to create the perfect city of Shinjjo. A city free of gangs, corrupt officials, abuse of power, and every form of crime. But his methods are anything but righteous. He assassinates politicians he considers corrupt, eliminates businessmen who refuse to cooperate, finances massive development projects with drug money, and murders anyone who dares stand in his way. Sunohara also believes the ancient legend claiming that every 50 years, a demon will appear in Shinjjo and bring disaster upon the city. In his eyes, that demon chose Sakata, the legendary assassin, as its vessel. That's why he isn't driven only by his dream of creating the perfect city. He also wants history to remember him as the man who defeated the demon of Shinjjo. Once he finishes explaining his twisted vision, Master draws his sword and prepares to execute Ryo. But at that exact moment, Sakata's informant crashes into the room, opening fire in every direction. The nightmare from 12 years ago seems to repeat itself as Sakata desperately screams for Ryo to run. With Ryo finally escaping to safety, Sakata can fight without holding anything back. But this time, his opponent is the Red Demon Mask, a warrior whose skills far surpass those of every enemy Sakata has faced so far. For the first time, the legendary assassin is pushed to his absolute limit. As his battered body struggles to remain standing, memories of his late wife flash through his mind. The rage he has buried for 12 long years finally erupts, awakening the last reserves of strength hidden deep within him. After the Red Demon Mask is finally defeated, Master removes his fallen warrior's mask. To everyone's surprise, the man is revealed to be Master's own twin brother, his face scarred by severe burns. Showing not the slightest trace of grief, Master calmly puts on his white demon mask and steps forward to face Sakata himself. The final battle is nothing short of brutal. In a single devastating strike, Master severs Sakata's left arm. Bleeding heavily and covered in wounds, Sakata refuses to surrender. Somehow, he rises once more and delivers the blow that finally defeats Master. But victory comes at a terrible cost. Just as Ryo rushes over and embraces her father, the wolf-masked man, who somehow survived, fires a shot from behind. Still obsessed with maintaining the lie that he is Ryo's father, he tries to continue his twisted deception. Before he can do anything else, Sakata delivers one final slash, killing him instantly. Then, just as he did when Ryo was a little girl, he wraps her in his arms one last time. Moments later, Sakata takes his final breath in Ryo's embrace. Security forces soon arrive to secure the scene. Strangely, Master is still alive as he is carried away, wearing nothing more than a faint smile. 1 year later, the man known as Master wins Shinjjo's mayoral election once again. But the public has no idea that the man they elected is no longer the real Sunohara. The original mayor is dead. The man now wearing his face is his surviving twin brother, determined to carry on his brother's twisted dream. In the film's closing scene, the new mayor returns to the shrine where the ritual has always taken place. But this time, someone is already waiting for him. It's Ryo. Now driven by vengeance for the deaths of both her parents, she stands ready to confront the man responsible. A new battle is about to begin, bringing the film to a suspenseful, cliffhanger ending.